Indication that friends or family on the outside were aware in advance or communicating about these plans?
And we're not going to get into the details of the investigation, Major Phipps, but we're looking at all angles.
What does it say, and I mean this respectfully, but you said, and I'm going to quote you here, that you observed those guys running out at 1 o'clock in the morning. What does it say for jailhouse safety and security when you see a jailbreak like that, but you fail to notify anyone? NOPD, the public, anyone?
We didn't say that.
What did you say then?
We observed on the video later this morning. We had to pull that video.
He said you observed at 1 a.m.
So let's be clear. I said what we observed on the video through investigation. So yes, when they looked at the video this morning after the staff realized they were gone, my investigators found that at 1 a.m. that's what happened.
So no one was watching live video all night at the jail?
I won't say no one was watching live video.
Then how did nobody see them leaving the jail?
There are over 900 cameras.
How did nobody see them leaving the jail?
There are over 900 cameras.
No, it's just, how did no one see a massive jailbreak?
The why and how is part of the investigation. So we have interviewed, I think, all of our employees, and we are interviewing all of the residents of that particular pod as well. And then there's a lot of people that you've got to wade through their interviews to find out, to get down to the details of what happened. There was somebody on duty.
Sheriff, a source told us that phone calls haven't been monitored over the past week, and escaped inmates were planning how they were going to get out through phone calls. Were y'all monitoring phone calls?
We monitor phone calls all the time. There are 1,400 people in this jail, over the City Council 1250 limit. So can you monitor every single person every day? No, we don't have the bodies to do that. But we do monitor, and we rely on tips, and we have an intelligence unit that monitors what's going on in the jail. There's a lot of things at any given time going on.
But it's your job to monitor every single person in this facility every day.
Visually, with our deputies on the pods. Yes.
Shady, I did have a question. The former sheriff, Marlon Gusman, he disputes the claims that there were a lot of issues here at the facility after he left. Do you stand by your statement about the issues with it? And also we learned that you have a $14 million fund balance. Why wasn't that money used to repair the locks? If you could talk about that.
Can I speak I can speak more intelligently, I believe, to the physical plan in the jail. Not necessarily design, but at some point this jail was planned, and it was obviously planned to be a minimum custody facility. I don't know what the dynamics of the population was in New Orleans as far as those incarcerated around that time, but that is not the dynamic now. Right now we have 24 pods, and 90% of those pods are populated with high security inmates. Those are people that are predatory, assaultive, violent, and aggressive. So we were in the process now of developing an ad-seg unit, because we identified a large number of individuals that needed to be on some type of restrictive housing environment that did not exist at this facility. So it's plenty of deficiencies when we start to talk about the physical plan. So it's not correct to say that those things didn't exist, because I mean they're prevalent.
This
you had a convicted.
This jail opened in 2015 and 2022. They never had a jailbreak. So when you say it's not built for that or it's not ready,
you got to think about.
They never had a jailbreak from 2015 to 2022 like this.
The sheriff says it all the time. She talks about the 83% recidivism rate. So you got people in and out of here all the time. So they've been here and
but you just said this is a minimum security.
No, I said
it's a minimum security facility.
I said it was had to be built for a minimum. So
they had maximum security inmates in here from 2015 to 2022.
You started talking about locks. I don't know of a max security inmate. Right now they had an objective classification system in place. I don't know if that was in place to identify properly if there were max security. It may have been everybody clumped together. We know now, based on our objective criteria, that we do have people that are classified at a higher security level.
Maintenance and service contracts at this time in place. Is there maintenance and service contracts in place? We're talking about failures within the pod. Once again, is there a maintenance and service contract in place? Travis gets asked multiple questions. We're asking another question. Is there a maintenance and service contract in place with the pod?
There was a convicted murderer in there, right, who had already been convicted, and he was in among these 10, right? Were they in separate cells? And he was in a minimum security area?
Everyone here is two to a cell. And that's what we have. And we've been in constant communication with anybody that's been convicted with the Department of Corrections to come and pick up those individuals that have been convicted. We have 78 individuals right now. We've been in communication with the Department of Corrections, and they're assured us that they're going to come and get these.
So what about Derrick Rose?
I'm not familiar with Derrick Rose if he's been sentenced. I know he's been here for a long period of time. So if he's been recently sentenced, that's great. He would have been on our list. He may be aware of that. He would be on our list to go to the Department of Corrections. But they have, the Department of Corrections and Public Safety, have worked with us to move several inmates that have been sentenced. They come twice a week. I just got off the phone when I stepped out here then with the Department of Corrections to identify how many individuals we have that have been sentenced, that are taking up space, that are high security people, that have long sentences, and they all are violent.
And what's being done to protect the witnesses in that case? Is there something being done to protect the witnesses who testified against him in that case?
That's what Captain went to address earlier. All those have been in contact.
Talking about the
Go ahead, Chris.
Talking about the pods and the deteriorating conditions, is there a maintenance and service contract in place to make repairs? And we're also hearing that critical cameras were down for weeks.
We have, this is our CFO, Bianca Brown, to talk more about that.
Hi, so I'm Bianca Brown. So based upon the question that you asked earlier about the fund balance related to the 2023 audit, I'll give you the breakdown of that. 4.2 million was related to accounts payable. 9.5 million was related to FEMA restricted cash, but capital projects only. The CJ restricted cash had about 98,000 in it. Due to others, which was processing fee, DAPs, clerk of courts, NOPD property room, they get about 97,000 of that money. We had due to the Department of Public Safety for civilian backgrounds that we conduct. That was about 400,000. And then we also had a detail account that's kind of restricted for radios, video cameras, tactical gear, software, and maintenance for the deputies that they pay based upon their details. So that doesn't exist. That's failed. That money doesn't exist. That was from a 2023 audit that they're reporting on, and those funds don't exist. As of today, that balance is about 6.3 million that is still due out as of 2025.
And I know that you.
So if we could answer my question, we asked a question, nobody answered.
What is your question?
Once again, we asked multiple times, is there a maintenance and service contract in place to take care of the deteriorating conditions within the pods and within the jail?
We can't
We're also
afford a
hearing that there's
maintenance and service
critical cameras
contract.
that are not working.
So right now, we can't afford a maintenance service contract. We have maintenance staff that are on board that do the day-to-day. But right now, our current budget sits at about 68 million. 41.1 million comes from the city, 13 million comes from the millage, and about 10.1 million a quarter is given to us. Right now, our payroll is about 9.6. Our food expenses is 780,000 a quarter. That eats up the money. We don't have the funding available to have a full maintenance contract to do this. We've explained this on multiple occasions. Just on Monday, we went to the City Planning Commission and we reported this out. We asked for the money to secure this. So the funding is not available to do what needs to be done.
So if your conditions are not appropriate enough to handle violent offenders like the ones that escaped today, have you all considered potentially shipping them elsewhere?
We can't afford it.
Also, just
Let him answer this question before you go.
your budget is bigger than Marlon Gusman's was. Do you all realize that the last sheriff had a smaller budget than you have?
The budget was bigger, but guess what? Things are being deprived. So what you're seeing is a result of what's happening now. Broken doors, you got facilities, wear and tear. All of that is occurring now due to that budget. This size facility, this should have a $150 million budget easily. The budget that we have, it doesn't support what we need. I've laid out the numbers. You see, it's critical.
I want to, if I could, speak to the when you said, have we explored shipping, outboarding individuals? Yes, we have. We've sent out numerous individuals, high security people, to various places. The Department of Corrections and Public Safety has helped us with that. We've sent people to Plaquemine. We've sent people to Catahoula. We've sent people to Madison. We've sent people to Angola. 30%, almost 40% of those individuals we send get remanded back for various reasons. So that takes up space. And the ones we sent to Catahoula, this is important, the ones we sent to Madison and the ones we sent to Plaquemine, all of these are parole violators. So these people are convicted felons that committed a crime here in New Orleans as either a pass-through, having fun, or whatever they were doing, and they ended up in the jail.
And look, circling back, what are you specifically doing to capture these violent offenders?
What do you mean?
What is the sheriff's office doing right now to capture these violent
The
offenders?
sheriff's office is working along with the 200 partner offices that I mentioned earlier and actually capture these individuals. We're providing critical intel. So we are combing through those phone calls and other messages you mentioned earlier to identify who they communicated with, where they could potentially be. So along with our partners, we are visiting those locations in search of those individuals.
Are those video calls on those iPads recorded as well? Video calls on iPads?
I can't answer whether those are recorded. I know the phone calls are recorded. I don't want to say yes or no on video.
Here's a question. That
Specifically,
means,
Derek Rose, what are y'all doing to capture
Chief Malley
him?
just said yes, they are
He's convicted
recorded.
of murder.
So they were wearing
you
their
have
orange
one more
jumpsuits, but you
question?
said when they got into the neighborhood, they shed their clothes. Was someone there waiting to give them a change of clothes? Did they have clothes as contraband underneath their jumpsuits?
So right now we can't say we haven't seen all of the video to say that from the neighborhood on whether they had additional clothing.
And I
But
just
what we
have
knew is they
one.
shed some of their orange.
And a CMT is a civilian position,
Corrections.
right? Should maximum security inmates be watched by a civilian CMT? And if you could talk a little bit more, I know you said that they were on a break. Could you give us some more specifics on that?
Sure. So yes, the CMT is a corrections monitoring technician. She is a civilian. She sits in a pod module and observes the pod. That is primarily when we do not have the physical deputy staff to sit on the pod. We have a vacancy rate like every other correctional agency in the country. Every corrections has a 55% vacancy rate across this country. Like us, we are underfunded, understaffed, underpaid. So we do our best to hire staff and retain them, but like everyone else, we're short. So yes, this civilian was assigned to the pod module to observe the pod. When she stepped away to grab food, that is when they began their attempts to escape. By the time she returned, they were already into the cell or gone. So she did not even know that they had made good on their escape or made an attempt to escape.
How long was she
Sheriff, do
away?
you want to say, do you
I'm
want
out
to
of time.
speak to the people? I think everybody's live in here. Do you want to say you're sorry to the people of New Orleans for having this happen? I mean, we've heard from you several times today, but do you want to offer any kind of contrition or apology to people for something like this happening?
Well, first we have to find out exactly what happened and how they got out. We think this was intentional. There is much more than meets the eye in this investigation. And why did it happen just right now, right? In the middle, as we're getting ready to start this sheriff's race. This is very suspicious. We know that they had help. We're showing you they had help. This was coordinated. There's much more than meets the eye. When I have enough information, I'll be glad to talk to the community about my issues or what I need, anything I may need to apologize.
That's a healthy
This is a public safety issue first and foremost. There's much more than meets the eye. We are digging and we are not going to stop.
Are you suggesting that your opponents are orchestrating this from behind the scenes?
What is OPSO doing tonight to make sure that this facility is safe and that no one else can escape? Once again, Sheriff.